Everybody get the sound video? Good? Jamie, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Questions for Coach, please.
Just going back to your own playing days, just what was it about this rivalry that set it apart, other than the fact it was the two top teams generally each year?
Well, I think fans got into this game. I think there was an intensity about the game. There was high quality basketball being played, so even people that didn't have a dog in the fight were interested in the game because it was fun to watch. It was for us as players, it was fun to play in those games. These were some of our biggest crowds, and I think we all enjoyed it and enjoyed the competition.
Kelly, a lot of people, when they think of the rivalry, they think of the two coaches. But do you really feel like some of those games that you were in and some of the ones you've watched, the players did a lot to make that rivalry what it was? I mean, there were some, I'm just thinking some of the ones I covered, they were just both teams made great plays, hit big shots and things like that. How much do you think that made that rivalry what it was?
Well, I think you have big characters. You know, you have Geno and you have Pat Summitt, two biggest characters in women's basketball. People that you look at. I think you have that. But you're right. You had so many talented players. Some of the best players in the country were on the court for that game, and just again the level of basketball that was played in some of those games was elite.
Do you feel like the level of the competitiveness between those two teams? I remember it was all healthy, but both these teams just wanted to annihilate each other the way they went at it. I mean, how much did that elevate the rivalry, and you think maybe enhance the game because of it?
Well, I think everybody wanted to win that one, and you know, I think there was a healthy respect for the opponent. And you know, again, it was a premier game nationwide, so you were on the big stage. You know, it was a big deal. And I think also there were some really big games played against each other that were not just a regular season game. These games had a lot of meaning to them. You know, Elite Eight game, a semifinal national championship at the national championship. So I just think there were a lot of big games that you had to win to advance, and both teams are playing their hearts out.
Kelly, what does the return of this series mean for kind of women's college basketball as a whole?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people wanted this series to come back. I think, you know, when they think of a little nostalgia and classic basketball, they think of the UConn Tennessee series. So I think for a lot of people, it's just brings back good memories of good basketball.
It's a 2-year contract. Given choice, would you like to keep playing them every year beyond this contract, or have you have an opinion one way or
You know,
another?
I don't yet. I'm sure at some point I will have an opinion, but I don't yet. I think right now we're in it. We understand it. We're looking at it as an opportunity and kind of see how it goes.
What would kind of sway you one way or another?
You know, I think part of that, honestly, for us will be the rest of our schedule and how that plays out, and you know, just how we move forward with them, and you know, what other stipulations do we have, whether it's 2-year, 4-year, you know, how do we move forward, and television coverage. There's just a lot of things that go into it.
Last night, both Jordan and Renee talked about needing to play Lady Vol basketball for 40 minutes in order to get the win. What does that look like, Lady Vol basketball for 40 minutes to pull off the upset?
Well, I think we have to be more focused. We have to be locked in to our assignment, both offensively and defensively. I think we've all got to buy into what our system is, and you know, trust that system. And then again, you can't take a play off. I think this is one of those games that if you're going to get this win, you've got to play for 40 minutes, not 39 and a half. I mean, it's got to be 40 minutes, and that's not easy to do, but that's what we're going to ask our team to do.
Do you try to give your players the history of what this game meant in its heyday, or how do you approach that?
You know, that's a good question. We have not talked about the Connecticut game with our team as of yet. I'll do that a little bit today. And, you know, I may just casually have conversations with our players just to see where they're at with it, what they think about it. And sometimes you know, they think very differently than I may think. And you know, I think they probably feel like it's a big deal. I think a lot of people made it into a big deal, and so I think they'll be excited about it.
You say you haven't talked about this game specifically to them yet. the comments Geno made early in the season or before the season, obviously he was commenting about things that may or may not have happened before you got here regarding this program, but is it something the players have talked about, just the comments he made about where Tennessee's program was, and is it something that's kind of added anything or caught to this?
Yeah, I'm sure our players are very, very well aware of those comments. We haven't discussed them as a team or as a program, but I think for us, you know, we will do everything we can to separate all the things that go into this game and really try to strip it down and focus in on the game. And we'll try to keep them locked in on that. If they have anything that fuels their fire, great. That's fine, but we just want to make sure we execute.
You say you haven't talked to your player. How much have you heard from former players this week about this game, this week or maybe early this season, just about the UConn game?
I've heard from several. I've heard from several of my former teammates in particular about this game, because obviously there was a pretty good rivalry, and they've had this one circled. Former players have had this one circled for a while, so they have high hopes, and we'll be watching it diligently from home. And I've heard from some of them they were trying to make it to the game, so I think it's a big deal for a lot of alums.
Did they ever offer any scouting reports for these games? Any former teammates?
No, haven't gotten any scouting reports. They keep telling me to keep pushing our players and keep doing what we're doing.
Do you have a particular game that stood out to you kind of the most from that series from your playing days?
You know, we had several, and I remember the crowds, first of all, in those games. It was just amazing, great atmosphere. But I guess if there was one, it would be our 97 game in the Elite Eight. UConn was undefeated at the time. We had 10 losses at the time. We came in, we played great, and just really had improved a lot. We played terrific that game and went on to a national championship. But you know, that was the key. That game was the key.
I know you get great crowds here at Thompson Bowling, but it'll probably be a pretty raucous environment, a road environment. Have you kind of talked to your players, or will you talk to your players about what to expect going up there?
Well, you know, I think the good thing is we've had a few environments this year already that have been really loud. That's hopefully going to help us a little bit. You know, the Notre Dame game, honestly, the ETSU game was really loud. It wasn't as big numbers-wise. And then the Stanford game had a lot of fans. So we've had some games that we've played in front of big crowds. So Kentucky was a pretty good one. I'm hoping that having those under our belt a little bit this year will help us.
When you sit down and watch UConn, what stands out to you?
They're really efficient offensively, and they've got 3 elite level scorers, and then they're just really smart defensively.
Kelly, what's the challenge of guarding them? Is that going to be one of the bigger challenges of this game for you guys?
I definitely think guarding them is one of the toughest things you're going to have to do, because they're so efficient. They are so fast in terms of running their sets, pushing in transition. Every action they do is at an elite speed. We've not seen a lot of that this year, a few times, but I think just guarding that action, it's just relentless and constant, and you have to be really mentally tough and physically tough to be able to defend.
We didn't get a chance to ask last night because of course, the game-winning shot, but you've got 300 wins now as a head coach. What would you say has changed about you from your first win at Western Carolina to right now?
Oh, wow, that's a great question.
Thank you.
You know, I think I've grown as a coach. You know, you change with the times, you know, maybe not philosophically, but how you approach and deal with players, because they're very different than when I first started, and it's not a good nor bad thing. You just have to deal with people differently and make sure that you're connecting with your players. I think, you know, I'm very confident in my ability on the court, X's and O's, and my ability to teach. And my assistants throughout the years have really pushed me to become a better coach in all facets. And I appreciate that from them. And, you know, I've coached a lot of great players. It's been fun.
All right, thank you.